Welcome back everybody to today's lesson in SUSE Linux Enterprise Server version 12, our training workshop. This is where we learn Linux the easy way. My name is Jaco Foster and I am from SAP Tech and I'm a SUSE certified training engineer. So we have a very busy day ahead of us and we need to dive into the detail quite quickly. My colleagues is on standby and they will be answering any questions that you may have. Please send us an email with any longer technical questions. Let's quickly have a look at our agenda. Today we will be only covering the Vim editor and the file system permissions and ownerships. These are very detailed, so I encourage you to take notes of what we are going to do and even take snippets in Twitch of some of the detailed pages so you can revert back to these pages or refer back to these pages when you need to review today's information. Once the video is uploaded, you can also review our recording for today. Let's dive into our lessons. Today we start with the Vim editor in our command line interface. So what is the Vim editor? The Vim editor is where we edit our files, our text files. We can add or delete data in a text file. So how do we open the Vim editor? We use the command vi or vim, and then we will have the file we would like to edit. Once we are in the Vim editor, we navigate with either our arrow keys, or we can use K for up, J for down, H for left, and L for right. Now the Vim editor has two basic modes. One is our command mode, and the other is our insert mode. Once you open up the Vim editor, you will always open up in the command mode. This is the default mode for Vim. So in your command mode, every keystroke is interpreted as a command. So we use this to communicate with our Vim editor, to give it instructions and to find files or even go into our insert mode. In our insert mode, this is where we enter or edit text. To enter our insert mode, we need to press either I for insert, 8 for append, or O for open a new line. Once we have entered our insert mode, we will see at the bottom left, a insert indication at our bottom left. This indicates that we are now in the insert mode and are able to edit text. If we would like to exit the insert mode, we need to press the escape key to be able to exit the insert mode. So for starters, let's quickly do our first exercise. I've already started up my machine, so I hope yours is started up too. Just going to bring it up. There's my server, and let's open up our terminal. It's going to maximize it again, and we're just going to zoom in so you can follow me clearly. So our first command is the vi command, but before we do that, let's just change to our directory with all our training files in it. Let's go ll to list all our files, and we need to navigate to our training folder over here. To do so, we use change directory and training, tab it out and hit enter. So now we're in our training folder. Let's list all the files in our training folder. with LL, and we've got our test file which we will be working with. So just going to clear the screen and just do LL again. There's our test file. So our command that we're going to run is this command over here, vi testfile.txt. Let's do vi testfile testfile.txt, and now we have entered the Vim editor. Inside the Vim editor, our landing mode is our command mode. There's no insert at the bottom, which indicates that we are in the insert mode. So our next commands we're going to run will be the I. So let's press the I button, and that shows us we are in the insert mode. Let's press escape to exit insert mode, and now we're back in command mode. So we can navigate with our keys in here. You can try it quickly, use your arrow keys, that's a lot easier. If not, you're welcome to use the keys H, J, K and L. I'm using H, K, J and L at this stage. I struggle with them a little bit because they are more confusing than our arrow keys, in my opinion. Then let's try to enter the insert mode again, but this time with A. And there we can see it entered into our insert mode. Press the escape key again. Then lastly, let's put a new line, and for that will be we can be at our bottom string, which is our stay safe, and press the O button, and then we go into the insert mode. Let's press the escape key to exit insert mode. Now we're going to dive into more detail when it comes to navigating the Vim modes. Now we are going to discuss the command mode keys. So there is a few commands that we can utilize within our command mode. One of the first ones is our insert data mode keys, and then our delete data mode keys, and how to copy and paste in command mode. To insert data, we can either press the I button or the insert key on our keyboard to insert data. The I means let's start typing in insert mode before the cursor. So if your cursor was at the U, it will start typing before the U of the cursor. Then we've got the A. The A is exactly the same, but this time after the cursor. So if you were at the U, it will start typing after the U with hitting the A key. The moment you use the I or A keys, then it automatically goes into the insert mode and we exit the command mode. When we use the O command states that we can add a new line below the cursor plus entering the insert mode. Or if we use a capital O, that means that we can set a new line above the cursor and still enter the insert mode. We can also delete data in command mode. To delete data, we use either the X key or the delete button on our keyboards. This will delete a character or characters with multiple entries. We can also delete lines by pressing the DD button, a double D, and that will delete the current line which your cursor is on. Should you wish to copy and paste, then we can use the YY to copy a specific line which the cursor is on, the complete line, into the buffer. Then to paste the data, we use the P button. Now the P button will paste a new line under the cursor. So it will move all data just below the cursor one line down and paste the contents of the buffer inside that new line. We can also decide to paste the contents of the buffer to the line above our cursor position. So that we use the capital P for, to paste the contents above the cursor position. Now let's quickly try this on our server. We are already inside our Vim editor, and now I get the opportunity to fix my character or my spelling mistake I made earlier. So take note on where my cursor is currently residing, the positioning of it. I'm currently on the D. So if I'm going to press the I to enter insert mode, I should be able to add a character to the front of D. So let's press the I button. Now we have entered its insert mode. You can see it there at the bottom. And now I can add my spelling error call, which is the L, to rectify this. You can add any data anywhere you'd like to test this. Now I'm going to exit the insert mode by hitting the escape key. Next up, let's move to the end of the word save. And let's add in here the A command. So the A means after the current position of my cursor, I would like to add some data. So let's add some data in here. I'm pressing A, automatically it goes into the insert command, and I am able to add data from my cursor. So I will put an underscore there just to illustrate to you where it places the first character, and then we can write something at, and then maybe space home. We don't have to put characters everywhere because it's a text file. It may have spaces. Stay safe at home is our text. Now let's press the escape key to exit the insert mode. Our next command we'll be running is our O, and we would like to insert some data or a line just below. So let's try this. I'm going to go one line up so we can add data between the hello world and stay safe at home. Let's press the lowercase o button and add some data. Now you will see it's moved the data which was below my cursor one line down and opened up a line for me to add some data. And let's put some data in there. My name is XXX. Now for our next exercises, we will need those X's. So please utilize or put the data in exactly as I have done this. My name is XXX. And then we can exit our insert mode. We can also insert a line above our current position of our cursor. To do so, we're going to press the capital O button. Now I'm going to go Shift and O, and you will see it move my position where my cursor is. That line moves down to open up a position above my cursor's position to be able to add a line. So in this line, we're not going to add any data for now, but we were able to see that we are able to move our lines around or create new lines. Another way of creating a new line is by navigating to the end of a line and then hitting enter to create another line. So it still moves the text down. This you can only do once you are inside the insert mode. This is very similar to a normal Word document or text document that you would be editing inside insert mode. Now we can quickly escape again, and go back to our command mode. Let's see if we can delete some data perhaps. And maybe we can then also delete a line. So to delete some data, we can either do the X or the delete. Now let's go here and we go and look at home. I want to remove the at. And I'm going to press the X button, lowercase x, and it removes it. In command mode, it removes it. I can also press the delete button, and I can press delete. So let's delete everything in there with delete or the X button, and there's even the underscore. So this is what our current file looks like. Then the next command is, we are still in command mode as you can see, because there's no insert indication at the bottom. So the next command we run in our command mode is the delete a line command. So we can go and delete a line over here. Let's go DD, that's an empty line. We can delete the very bottom empty line as well, DD, and you see that moves up. And there's another empty line. Let's also do the DD there. So now our document is nice and tight again. Our next command we're going to do is the YY, so we can copy a line. So I'm going to copy the my name XXX. My name is XXX line. So we go YY. Once you've pressed YY, it's automatically added to your buffer. There's no indication, you must just trust that's in your buffer. So let's paste our name below the stay safe. And to do so, we're going to use the normal P command to paste. So I've moved my cursor to where I want to be, because I know below my cursor position, I'm going to add my line which I've copied to the buffer. So I press P. And now I've added that line to the bottom. Then to paste my buffer above my cursor, let's go try it at the very top. That will be fun. So we've got Hello World at the top, and we like to add my buffer to the very top line and move everything down. For that, I will use a capital P. So we go Shift and capital P. And this would be able to paste your line there. For our next exercise, please arrange your document to be in a similar order like this. To have your my name is XXX at the top, then text in between, and again your name, my name is XXX, in again some data, and the last is my name is XXX. So we can run through the next exercises to give you an idea how to use the rest of the command mode keys. Now let's have a look at our next set of command code keys. Let's first look at our undo and redo operations. We can undo our last operation by using the U key. By pressing U, you will continue to undo your previous operations sequentially. Then we can also undo the last undo operation. In other words, we can redo what we have done with the undo by pressing our Ctrl plus lowercase r key. Next, we can do a search within a document. Now, a search functionality is really important within our Vim editor, for we need to be able to find text within a document, especially a lengthy document, quite easily without reading through the document. So for this, we're going to use the colon. Now, the colon becomes very important for instructions we want to give to our document. So we press the colon and a front slash followed by the text we want to search for. So to search down the file from the position of the cursor, we use the colon front slash. Now we can also search upwards from the position of our cursor by using the colon, question mark, followed by our text. I can tell you the colon question mark is not commonly used, but it's good to know that it is available, and you will understand why next. So once you are in your search mode and you want to continue searching from this point where your search returned a result, you can press the N button to search for the next result matching your text that you were searching for. So when you continue press N, it will continue searching in the direction which you have initialized. So if you are initializing a downward search, and by pressing N, it will continue searching down in your document. But you can also search backwards in the direction you have initialized. So if you are searching down in your document by doing a colon front slash and you press a capital N, the capital N will start searching upwards in your document. This explains why this command is not commonly used, but it is available, because you can search in the opposite direction by just pressing the capital N button. Then we can also search and replace text with the following command. That will be colon and then our percentage sign and a lowercase s for searching. Then it will be followed by a front slash. And after front slash, we need to define the text we are looking for, and then what do we want to replace the text with. Then we have to close it with a front slash and G for go. We'll be practicing that a little later on. Then a very important part of our navigation within Vim is the save and open functionalities. Very, very important. And here you need to pay close attention. I really hope that everybody is still making notes of all the commands that we are running through today. So within our Vim editor, we have a few options how to save our documents. So the first one will be a colon W. So the colon W will give an option to save the file and still stay within the same file, meaning inside the Vim editor with the same file name. Then we can also do a quit. Now this you will usually run if you have not made any changes to your document, and you can press the colon Q and it will allow you to quit. But once you have made changes to a file and you wish not to save the changes but still would like to quit, you must use the colon and the Q and the exclamation that forces the document to quit without saving. Then we can combine some keys. Now the right way of doing this will be colon right quit, WQ, and that will quit and save. Remember, Q was for quit and W was for save. So the combination is WQ. Colon WQ is the instructions, and that will right quit and save our document to the same file name. In Linux, they have created, in SUSE, they have created an alias called ZZ, capital ZZ. So this will automatically run the colon WQ command if you go Shift ZZ, and it will automatically save. even though this is very comfortable of using, personally I don't use it because if you're running through on an older version of SLES, then this alias is not added and you might yourself wondering what to do. Also in other versions of Unix or Linux, these aliases are also not defined. So it's nice to have within our SLES versions, but it may not be available on earlier versions of SLES. Then we have another option of also saving our file to a new file name. So once we are inside our document and we would like to save this to a different file name, we can use the write command with a space and then a new file name. In this example will be savedfile.txt. We can also open files from our Vim editor by using the :O button and our file name. In our case, we will then be using :O testfile.txt. So next, let's quickly have a look and try these on our server. Our first command that we will be running is our undo operation command. So we first need to ensure that we are in command mode. We are not. We don't see the insert mode at the bottom. So now we can press the U button, and that should undo what we have done. So let's press U. Oh, we've added something there. U, we've added something there. U. Oh my word, there's many things that we have done, and that's undid some of the operations which we have done previously. Now let's add all of these operations back so we can have our file in the format we need. So we go Control and the lowercase r to redo our commands, or undo the undo command as it was stated. So let's press the car, put everything back as it was, and there it is. We're already at the newest change. I'm trying to add some more, but we cannot because we are already at the newest change. Good. So we can now look at the search functionality. And for that we will need to use the colon button. The colon button, you'll need to use Shift, and it's with your semicolon on your keyboard. So let's do this quickly, and we go Shift, then a colon. And now we need to search for something. Here's our example. We will search for XXX. Let's do that. XXX. And once you are searching, press the Enter key, and it will take you to the line where it finds the text. And we can continue to the next result by pressing the N button. Do you remember? Let's try that. N. Let's go to N, and there it takes us directly to our search. Now I've pressed the N multiple times. Now it says searching hit bottom. It's continuing at the top. So if you press N again, it will continue to scroll through our document. Should we wish to search in the opposite direction, we can use the Shift N button and we'll start searching upwards, as you can see. Searching at the top, continuing at the bottom now. Great. So our next search function will be the : Let's try that. : and we search for XXX. Again, we hit the Enter button to execute our command, and it takes us to the line where we found the information, and now we press the N button, and there it takes us to our result. And now searching, it will search in the opposite direction. If you want to start searching down, we'll use the capital N and we'll start searching down. Alright, so you can see why the question mark is not commonly used. Doesn't mean you cannot use it, it's just not commonly used. Now we're going to change some data inside a file. We're going to search for something and we're going to change the data in this file. For that, we're going to run this command over here. So we go colon and we do a percentage sign, a lowercase s, and then a front slash. Then our source text, that will be xxx, another front slash, and then what do we want to replace the x's with? Let's go y, y, y. And we close that and we say go. We are ready to perform the action. So I'll press the enter button and take a close look what happens to your x's in your file. And there you can see that three substitutions were made on 3 different lines. So our next command will be to save our document. Now to save our document, we just go colon W, and the W stands for write to the file. Let's save it, write, and hit enter. And it gives us a response to say the test file.txt was now written. So that means our file has been saved. We are also now able to quit the document by going colon Q and quit. And now we have quit our document. Let's enter the document again. Press the up button to bring up our last command, which was vi testfile.txt. Press enter and we are back inside our test file. So on this test file, we would now like to quit without saving. So let's first make a change to our document, and let's type O to put something at the bottom, and we type in the new data. I've pressed O to open up a new line at the very bottom and added the new data text. Let's first exit our insert mode, because we're currently in insert mode. Exit it by pressing escape. Then you press the colon button, and now we try to just normally quit first. Not the exclamation, normally quit. And press quit. And it says no write since last change. Add the exclamation to overwrite. So that means we have made a change to the document. We can't just quit it because there was a change, and we need to either force quit it or save and quit it. So let's hit enter, and our data is still in the way. So if we do not want to save the new data inside our file, we will go colon quit exclamation. Now this is going to force and quit the document. Let's hit enter. And now we've quit the document without any hassles. Let's go edit our document again. Up arrow to our last command, vi test file, hit enter to enter our document. Now we're back inside our document. And we can see my data that we've added to the very last line is now gone because we have not saved the document. So let's add another line at the bottom. Let's go O and put some information in there, and we say again new data. We put it in there and we say we want to save and quit our file. So again, a shortcut is Shift ZZ. You're welcome to use that. But from my side, remember you need to be in command mode. It won't work while you're in insert mode. You need to escape first. So you can do Shift ZZ, or in my case, I'll go right quit. So it will first save the file and then it will quit it. And we should be back at our command line then. There we go. So let's try to open up our text file again. We go up arrow, open our text file, and again new data has now been entered. Now let's add some extra data to this file with the O button, and we will put there new saved file at the very bottom, because we are now going to save this new file to a new saved file. So first we need to exit our insert mode by hitting escape, and then we're going to do the command :w space saved file.txt, and this would save our file now as a different name. It is important to take note that this will only save a copy of our file and will not exit our current file. So it only saves the state as it is right now. So let's hit enter. And now we've created a new file called savedfile.txt. To show that we have made a change to this file, let's delete some of these data by pressing the DD button and also the DD button again, because we know this is still our test file that we're currently in. And we go colon and we do a write, so we can save our current file. And here it shows us that it is saving the test file, because we haven't exited this file. We only have the other file saved, a copy of the previous data as it were. So let's open up the saved data file then, and not test file as we have here, to quickly show you. Oh no, we can open up both, doesn't really matter. So let's go colon and we go open, and we first do test file, test file.txt, and this is the text file as it is currently at. So let's go open up our saved file then. Go colon O and we do our saved file. I'm so used to hitting the tab key, and tab doesn't work inside the Vim editor. So our saved file.txt, look what I'm typing there. And this should open up the data or the file as it was previously. And there it is. There's our data. Again, new data just before we made the changes. Wonderful. And let's quickly go on to the next set of slides. Here we can see that the Vim editor has a built-in help functionality. So how do we get to the help functionality? The command is colon help. Then we were able to see all the help pages within the Vim editor. To quit the help pages, we need to do a colon quit, and it will only quit the help pages. It will not quit the complete Vim editor. So our exercise, we're going to search for the tutor. So if you would like to learn more functionalities on the Vim editor, then you can go and look at the tutor on your own time. There is plenty other functions within the Vim editor which we have not discussed in this training. This is really, really helpful. So let's quickly go to our server and run this command. So let's do the help command. We go colon and we do help. And can you remember how to search? We go colon / and we put the word tutor. Do you see at the very bottom? There's the instruction, colon / tutor. Tutor, and this would take us to the tutor portion. And there it is. There is our tutor. So at your own time, you can navigate through the tutor for Vim, and it will show you a whole lot of functionalities. Read through the tutor or the complete help file to give you some more insight on how Vim works. So let's quit the tutor by going colon Q and quit. And let's also exit the Vim editor. We go colon, write, quit, because we'd like to save the data and quit it as it stands. Great, and that's the end of our Vim editor. Our next lesson becomes very, very detailed. So I will try my very best to explain this to you slowly and clearly. This is where you really need to start to concentrate. Alright, so our next lesson is called File System Permissions and Ownership. Permissions in Linux and other Linux-like operating systems use the mode system. So we've got, when we look at our permissions, we look at our files and directory permissions. Remember, we had all the types of files previously, which was those 7 types of files and directories. And now we're going to look at how we can give them the right type of permissions. So the type of permissions we get is the R permission for read. A file can be opened and read by the R permission. Then a W permission. A file can be modified but not deleted. Then the execute permission. A file can be executed, run as a program or a script. So to execute a file, the execute permission must be enabled. Then we can look at directories. We've got the R for directory. Directory contents can be viewed. Then a W means directory contents can be viewed and be modified. Example, files can be deleted within the directory. Then lastly, the execute. Directory can be entered or sealed into through a directory, and then you can execute. You can change into the directory with the execute functionality. So next, let's quickly look at our permission groups. So file and directory permission groups. The permission modes are listed by the user group and the other group. So let's first look at how the setup of our permissions look like. So we know that the very first character of our types of permissions indicates what type of file it is. So D is for our directory and the minus just a file. So the permissions is set in 9 characters, as you can see, but it's set in groups of 3 each. Our first group is called our user group. So this contains the permissions for the current user or the stated user group, user. And then the file is also allocated to a group permission. And what the group, anyone that belongs to this group, is allowed to do to the specific file. And then if you are not the user and you don't belong to this group, then you fall under the other group. And the other group permissions is defined with what they can do with the specific file or directory. So the user that has the ownership of a file or directory can be given the read permissions, the write permissions, or the execute permissions to the file or the directory. Then when we look at the group permissions, the group that has ownership of a file or directory can be given the read permissions, the write permissions, or the execute permissions to the file or directory. Then the other, anyone that is not the owning user or the group that has ownership is classified as the other, and a set of read, write, and execute permissions applies to them for the specific file or directory. So the next slide is busy, and I'll try to explain this to you in more detail. So let's have a look at our command line slide. There it goes. So we already know the command ls over here. The ls minus l gives a long listing of the file. So let's start at the left hand side where we just looked at the file type, which is our directory, then the three groups of permissions. Then we know that this number indicates our links just after the permissions. And then we have the users and the groups defined. The owning user, who's the owner of this file, and then the owning group, who's allowed to make changes or to work with this file. So to take note that when we look at our permissions, the user permission is referred to this specific user. And then when we look at our group permission, this is referred to the owning group, which is stated over here. Then other means any other group. We already know that this is our file size, and then our modification time will be listed over here. While we're at the modification time, you will see that there's no year stated over here. So the moment there's no year stated, then on a minute's time frame, then it shows us that this file was created our current year, our current 12 months. But the moment that it changes the hour and minutes to a year, then we know it was created in that specific year and not our current year. Then the last portion is just our file or directory name. Now we've added this to our course because we had a lot of questions about the colors. So let's quickly give you a quick understanding on all the different colors, but this is specific to terminal, which we use in SLES. Other distributions and other command line viewers or interfaces might have different color combinations. So our first one is the black text file, for example, the text file.txt. That is just an indication of a normal file without any execute permissions. The moment it gets execute permissions, it turns green and it can have any execute permissions. That means we can run the file. Then it becomes green. Run means go. So the moment we had this file and we had the execute permission here at the X, then this file would turn green. When we look at our directories, the light blue indicates this is a directory. So this is just to differentiate between files and directories a lot easier instead of just looking at our permissions here on the top at the first point. Then the moment when a directory turns green, then it means there's a write permission for other users. So this shows us that just about everybody then can write to the specific folder. So this is too easy to highlight where our risk is when we scroll through our command line. And then a red block like this in the yellow text indicates a broken soft link. Now we're going to look at how to define our permissions in the Octal notation. Binary and Octal notation. Permissions in Linux can also be expressed in binary and octal notation. Binary notation is rarely used for anything other than calculation. So we first need to understand what is binary. So binary is when we can multiply our current number with 2 all the time. So it'll be 1 times 2 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 4 is 8. So we just double up our numbers. 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, and 128. This binary is available throughout all computer languages and computer hardware. So what's important to understand before we start and when we get to calculating our permissions in the octal notation is that we need to note that the binaries now gets calculated, or the sum gets made from the right to the left. So what does that mean? So if we have our write permission over here, we can compare it to any of these other permissions, these groups. So let's start here at our user. And we say our user is the read, write, and execute permissions over here. So read, write, and execute. So if we want to give this user a octal number for the permission, for full permissions to this folder, we would calculate the sum between these three permission types, which is the write, read, write, and execute. So read will always be a 4, write will always be a 2, and an execute will always be a 1. So 4 plus 2 plus 1 gives us 7. And that's where this 7 comes from. So let's try to see if we can calculate a read-write permission over here. So read is always 4, and the 2 and the write is 2, and the execute is 1, but there's nothing in there, so that will give us a 0 to calculate. So we will only calculate the 4 plus 2 to give us the total of 6. So if we only wanted to define a write permission, we would use the octal of only 4. Should we only wish to give a execute permission, execute will be here, the octal will be 1. So we calculate from the right hand side, and we can define any combination of these numbers. Let's say we wanted to have a write and execute permission. That would be a number 3. So we would use a number 3. You'll understand shortly why we do this calculation. So let's see what does a R and a X calculate to. Can you calculate it? You're right, 5. 4 plus 1 gives us a 5. So this permission set will be defined as, let's see it. That is 4 plus 2 plus 1 gives us 7. So we write the 7 here at the bottom. Then we've got a 4 plus 1 is a 5, and again a 5. So this will be 7, 5, 5 will be those permissions. For this group of permissions, you see the 9 characters over here. They are 7, 6, 4. So let's carry on and see if we can utilize this octal somewhere. Permissions in Linux are referred to as the mode, and there are tools to change the mode as well as the owner and group of the owner and file directories. So the command we use to change the mode, meaning our permissions of a file or directory, is the chmod command, change mode command. Now you can see here that we want to change our permissions to a certain file. So if you can remember correctly, the permissions for this specific directory is a 7, 5, 5. Let's look at this file. This file will be 4 plus 2, so this will be a 6. That will be a 4 and a 4. So this is 6, 4, 4 for this specific file. So remember, the first number represents our user, and the second number, which is 644, so the 6 represents our user, the 4 will represent our group permissions, and the other 4, the last one, will be our other permissions. This takes a while to understand this. Now I would recommend you to watch this video again afterwards to get a clear understanding of what I mean to say, or what I'm explaining here. So an example of what we'll be running will be the chmod, and then we'll put the octal in there for test file. We can also change group permissions with the commands G+, and we can say a write command, or O plus an execute command, or we can even do a -X if we want to take something away. these commands are separated with a comma. This is not widely used, but you can utilize this function as well, and we'll run a single test on that. Then we can change the ownership of a file or a directory with the change ownership command, chown. So our change ownership command, if we only want to change the owner, the owning user, we'll only put in the user that we'd like to change it to. In this case, we only have one user, so we use the tux user with test file. Then we can change the user and the group all in once, and that we can do with changing the owner of the user and the group with the command chown of chown with tux colon, separate by a colon, and then the group name. We only have a users group on the system, and then the file name you'd like to change, or even the directory name you would like to change. There is a command which you can change the group only. This is not often used, but it is available because you can do everything with the chown command. You can change the groups with this. But you can change a group only with the change group command, which is chgrp, and then our user's name or a group name and the file name you would like to change. So now we're going to quickly test this inside our server environment. Now let's run these commands inside our server environment. So first clear our screen, and let's first do a ll command to see what our files is like currently. So let's have a look at what's our current permissions for our test file. So our test file has a rw and no x. So there's no number 1, there's a 2 and a 4. So this gives me a total of 6, and that gives me a, let me quickly see, a total of 4 and total of 4 if I calculate it. So let's run this command. The first one we'll do is chmod 754 test file, and let's hit enter. Let's do a ll and see what was changed. So now we will see that our permissions have changed this file, and it has turned green. That's interesting. Remember when we said when there's an execute that comes in, then automatically the file will turn green in terminal. So the 7 represented full permissions for the user, which is the first group, and then our owning group, which is users, has read and execute permissions on this, and then others only have read permissions on this with a number 4. So let's try to add this next command quickly, which is chmod g plus w, which is our write command. The group must have write access as well. Currently my group do not have write access, as you can see. And we'll also add the other group must have execute permissions plus execute, and currently the other group do not have execute permissions over there. And then our file name will be test file, and hit enter. Let's do a ll again, and now you will see my file. Where's my previous one? There's my previous one. Didn't have write permissions. There we go. That's right. Didn't have, and now it does have write permissions over here. And we've added the execute permissions to our other group, the O for other. Okay, let's quickly run the change ownership commands and just clear this quickly. Clear our screen and type in chown, then the tux. We will change this to the tux user, but it's already tux. But just to get the exercise, I've just run the ownership for tux. Let's go ll, and our owner for this file is still tux. But we can also run this same command, let's just press the up button and go put in there a colon users in there. So if you were the root, you could have changed the ownership. So only root can now access this file, and you could change the word tux to root. You cannot do this from tux because tux is not authorized. So let's hit enter and go LL, and nothing has changed because we haven't defined a new group. Just for the fun here of, I'm just going to add in there the word root. Let's see what happens. And operation is not permitted. Why? Because tux do not have priority over the root permissions. Yes, we could have used sudo, and that would definitely have worked. For those who's asking in the background, we're still getting to sudo a little later in our course to get more detail on that. All right, then the change group instruction on the left hand side, and then we go chgrp, and we'll go users. We will change the users group for the file, test file, and hit enter and go LL, and that also would not have changed because we didn't define a new group, but it shows you what the command syntax is like to run any of these commands. So this was a mouthful. Now this brings us to the end of today's lessons. I trust you found our lessons today very informative and very detailed, and I really recommend you to go and have a relook at the specific lesson whenever you have time. It should be uploaded later tonight to YouTube, and I believe it might be in Twitch as well shortly after we have finished the broadcast. Please go and revisit these topics that we've done today. We have now time for a few questions, and longer technical questions, please send us an email to suze@sabntech.com. I am Jaco Forster from SABNT Tech, and I will see you tomorrow the same time at the same place. Thank you for participating today.